Joining us now is Jon Carter, our very own sports correspondent. And my first question is going to be shamelessly a layman's question. I was totally immersed in the French elections recently. I'm not really a sports fan, so I wouldn't pretend that I know much about what's going on at the Euros. But what are the most important takeaways right now that we've reached the next stage? Perhaps takeaways that even a layman can appreciate.
Right, yeah. Well, we've moved out of the group phase now, so we're in the knockout phase. So this is the final 16 teams. And so we're whittling down the countries quite rapidly at the moment. And these knockout games began at the weekend. So who do we know who've reached the quarterfinals thus far? Well, Germany defeated Denmark at the weekend, so the Germans are in the quarterfinals, which I broadly think is probably a good thing for the tournament. It's always good to have the host nation doing well because it kind of adds to the positive atmosphere. And this is one of the main key things, I think, of these Euros has been great atmosphere. The Germans have done a good job hosting the tournament so far, and you can really sense the kind of party vibes going on within the stadiums and on the streets as well. So the Germans are through.
There is this adage in Poland that says that football is about two teams facing off against one another, but ultimately the Germans win. Does this actually exist beyond Poland? Because Poland has, I think, a tradition of losing against Germany fairly often.
As an Englishman, yes, it does. And yeah, I think we might even have roughly the same phrase. So it does look rather ominous for the other teams, I have to say. However, last night we had a couple of games. So England defeated Slovakia incredibly luckily. England were disastrously bad. They were 1-0 down for the majority of the match and then scored in the 94th minute, so deep into injury time. Sneaked through, went to extra time, grabbed a goal in extra time and then defended, and they were awful. Slovakia were very impressive. They really put up a strong fight for a country of, what's the population, maybe 5 million, roughly. So I was very impressed by the Slovakians. Now, the other match last night was Spain-Georgia. And again, the Georgians, mightily impressive. This was their debut tournament. And I was very impressed, especially with the way they play on the front foot. They don't hold back. They don't try to defend too deep. And so I think a lot of people have embraced them as their favourite neutral team. But Spain sailed past them in the end. They won 4-1. And returning to the point about Germany, you know, is it all a kind of, is this leading to them being victorious? Well, there is one country who has been more impressive than them, and that is the Spanish. And again, they were excellent yesterday.
And now we do know that we've seen a mix of now pressing and possession-based football, I feel like. And for instance, teams like Spain, Germany, they prefer to control the game through possessions, while for instance, France or Portugal, they rely on quick transitions and counter-attacks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what are the major tactical trends we've observed in the tournament so far?
Well, I'm particularly interested by the Austrians, and they will play, is it tomorrow? Yes, I think they've got the Dutch on Tuesday. And the thing about Austria is that they try to replicate the way in which clubs play their football. So it's this kind of very drilled style. And like you said, it's fast transitions and high pressing. And this really stems from a lot of clubs in the Austrian Bundesliga adopting this style, and then many of the Austrian players later moving to the German Bundesliga, where again this style, the fast transitions, the high pressing, very frenetic matches at times, so the Austrians are very familiar with that. However, then you have certain teams who, like England, look like a bunch of strangers. Brilliantly talented individuals, but no discernible strategy. What are they trying to do? Counter-attack? Are they trying to push high? Are they trying to a possession-style game? No idea. So the thing about Austria is that they really look like a club team. And this is a lot of countries try to do this, but due to the practicality of international football, it's extremely difficult to do that. There isn't the time to train. You really need this strong familiarity between the players. But as I said, because they've gone through a lot of the same academies, they play for similar clubs that have these styles, you can just say to them, okay, this is the way we're playing, and they're familiar with this approach.
Is it coherent playing style?
Very much. And you could say something kind of similar with the Swiss, who also progressed to the next round, where they will face England in the quarterfinals. And they also have quite a clearly defined style, and they look extremely well drilled. They overcame the Italians on Saturday, and to be honest, if it weren't for the Italians, then you'd probably say England were the worst performers. But fortunately, the Italians really stunk the place out and slightly took the took the spotlight off the English of being the worst-looking team.
And lastly, if of course I know that you do not have a crystal ball, but I'm still going to throw it out there. Seeing the games so far, do you think that now, for instance, Spain is still the favourite, or is there any other underdog that has emerged?
Well, as I said, Austria and Switzerland are the true if we can still call them underdogs now. But OK, let's categorise them in that way for the sake of this conversation. So the lesser fancy teams, they are the only lesser fancy team left, apart from Slovenia, who also play tonight. And yeah, I do like the look of both of those. Who can challenge Spain? Well, I think, you know, we were saying that Germany are a predictable force, but in recent years, the predictable force who very rarely perform well throughout the tournament, but just gradually plough their way through, it's France. And if I had to say, they just have this way of just, it almost looks like they're sleepwalking through games, and then for 5 minutes, they sustain period of attack and they've won. And just like that. And that's because they are a defence-first team, very difficult to break down. And so I would say, alongside Spain, France are the team really which are the ones to beat, because, you know, World Cup finalists, they won the World Cup not so long ago as well. So it's really for Spain to challenge them. So Spain, Germany and France are the real strongest candidates.
Sleepwalking through a tournament, it sounds disturbingly like what people are saying about the elections too, that all of a sudden the French have sleepwalked into a very difficult situation there politically. Still, they might actually have their team's success to divert their attention away from some of the frustration related to the vote, right? Jon Carter was here with all the latest updates and conveying them with a passion that even a layman can actually get behind. So that is ultimately what it's all about. It's all about passion and common interests. So Jon, thank you very much for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
And now we're about to move on to a short break. We'll be right back with the latest from the world of culture.